Greetings everybody, this is Jeff from Suns and Shadows and 0 Point Reviews. I have a fun little thrift store pickup video. I just happened to be out and about over the weekend with my wife. We got our haircuts, did some lunch, did a little bit of shopping. There's a few thrift stores around where we like to hang out in downtown where we live. And so we're going to go ahead and get started with some VHS tapes. I have original Dr. No, CBS Fox, and it's one of those old VHS tapes that's actually a little tray inside of the VHS box. And then there's little... And so it's like that. And then here's the cassette tape. It's very unique. I haven't seen like a VHS style release like this in a very long time. I want to say probably as a kid. And I know the box is beat up, but for the price I couldn't resist that. Along those lines, I got Brandon Lee, Ernest Borgnine in Laser Mission. I've never seen this one. I've heard about it. I'm a big Crow fan, and I like Brandon Lee. So I couldn't resist picking that up either. And of course, Put the Cookie Down. I have a VHS tape for Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And cassette tape looks like it's in pretty good shape, and it's in a clamshell, which I didn't know this came in a clamshell case, so I just had to pick that up for the display purposes. And we also got Steve McQueen, The Blob, 35th Anniversary Collector's Edition on VHS. This looks in pretty decent shape too. The sticker's a little lifting off, but, you know, I like the original Blob, and I'll check that out on a VCR and see how well that looks on an old TV. Also picked up Knights of the Round Table. I don't know. I didn't know much about this one. It's got like Robert Taylor, Ava Gardner, and Mel Ferrer in it. I've heard of this, but I have not seen it. And I'm just a kind of a sucker for King Arthur movies. Some of them are good, some of them not so good. You know who you are and what I'm talking about. But then we're also going to get into Hugh Grant, Gene Hackman with Extreme Measures. I like this movie. Not many people really talk about it these days, but I'm pretty excited to get that on VHS tape. And where I go for the VHS tapes, they're about 25 cents. So it's just standing by me to be able to pay for that and get some titles in the collection. And, you know, down the road, if I want to do a giveaway or something, then I got that too. Got Kurt Russell and Breakdown. Now I have the more recent release on Blu-ray, so anybody asking about that, yes, I have the Blu-ray, but I also like cassette tape. I've always been a fan of the cover art, and I actually really like the movie. And of course, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Time Cop. Yep, I totally am a sucker for this movie. Absolutely love it. And this works for my like kind of retro setup I'm working towards with my VHS tapes and overall setup when I get the old TV in here. Shh, don't tell the wife. And then we got a bunch of DVDs and a couple in, I think, one Blu-ray in here. Anime style, Dragon Half, ADV Films. I don't know much about this one, but I do like classic, more older anime. There is good new anime out there these days. I saw this and I'm like, you know, for what the cost of these DVDs were, I couldn't resist. And I'm like, you know what, fine. I never see anime in these stores. So that's really nice to see. Also picked up My Fellow Americans with James Garner and Jack Lemmon and Dan Aykroyd. That's an underrated comedy. I don't know if that's on Blu-ray, so I picked that up just for the sake of my collection, because I don't have that, and I do remember enjoying that movie with my grandfather, so I have a bit of a sentimental value to that one. And of course, I picked up The 13th Warrior. This is a classic. I have this in my collection, so this might be going to another home for the price that I found it for and the condition this is in. It's a steal. It's like they never really watched this disc. And my copy is pretty spot on too. And it comes with the inserts and the discs and everything. So, disc, just one. But this is one that should get on Blu-ray. I really like that one. I wish it was a little scarier, a little more action-packed, but I really enjoy that. Antonio does very well. Of course, I got the old 2-disc collector's edition of The Crow, Brandon Lee yet again. This is going into my Crow collection. I'm a big Alex Proyas guy. That and Dark City are just on point with what I like from that era of the 90s. And this might get some different opinions, but I picked up George Romero's Survival of the Dead. It's still sealed, so I am probably going to check that out, and we'll see what I think about that movie at that time. I've heard different things on that one. I've heard is it Diary? You know, put the comments below on what you think of like Diary of the Dead, Survival of the Dead. I'm very curious what other people think, but I picked that up. It's like pretty okay with the cost wise. And I did not pay $2 for these. These were like $1 or less. And I got The Protector 2 with Tony Jaa. I do like some kung fu movies. And I know this is going to have some varying opinions, but I got the Director's Cut of Terminator Salvation. Discs are immaculate, and it still has the little BD Live instruction sheet inside for when you're connecting to the internet. So I can finally add this to the collection. This is about where I tap out on the Terminator film franchise. I like Christian Bale in this. I thought he did all right. The movie, but I like it enough that I would have that in my collection. And then I got the classic John Candy Summer Rental. I got a kick out of this one as a kid. I like most John Candy movies, and so this had to get thrown in. It's a Paramount. Hopefully at some point they'll do a Blu-ray. Maybe because I bought this, suddenly we'll see a Blu-ray. That'd be okay too. I got the classic Ghost Ship with the little lenticular. So I know it's full screen, but I really like the lenticular on this, and that's the main reason I picked it up. I have the widescreen, but my widescreen copy does not have the lenticular effect going on. Hopefully you can see that, but it's actually in pretty good shape. I still need to kind of go through and wipe down the cases a little bit. There's like little fingerprints and smudges. That's what you get when you go thrift store shopping. And then finally I picked up 28 Weeks Later. I've seen 28 Days Later. I like it enough, but I never got around to checking out this one. And for 50 cents, why the hell not? So I picked that up. The only thing you are not seeing in this video is I picked up a Sony Beta player for the old Beta cassette tapes. My aunt had one as a kid. I just need to find a power cord so I can test it out. I spent about 20 bucks for it, which works out, and I found that, you know, if it's not working, maybe I'll try and fix it, because I like to play with that kind of thing in my spare time when I'm not doing content or doing my real job or things around the house, things like that. So I like to fix electronics. So I'll see if I can get it working. If it's not, it was worth the gamble, and I have a good time doing the thrift stores and bringing home a little bit of a haul. I didn't spend all that terribly much, so I'm pretty pleased with that. Hey, do you have any of these titles in your collection? Any of these that caught your eye that you'd like to maybe have in your collection? Hey, put a comment below. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and we'll see you next time. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at SunsAndShadowsCast. We are at SunsAndShadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.